Hello friends, welcome back to the third lecture of unit number 6 on impulse momentum principle. In the last lecture we have discussed about the work done, again the work energy principle, and we have solved some of the numericals based on determination of work done as well as the work energy principle. Now in today's lecture we are going to study or we are going to discuss the impulse momentum principle. First of all, let's see what is meant by impulse. The change in momentum produced by the force applied on the body within an infinite short interval of time is known as an impulse. Whenever the momentum of the body is get changed because of the force applied on the body, and that should be applied for a very short interval of time, that is called as an impulse. Impulse is denoted by the symbol capital I, and it is determined as force multiplied by the delta t, where F is the impulsive force and delta t is the short time interval. Therefore, from first to second or from initial to final, the impulse produced is equals to the force applied multiplied by the final time minus the initial time, or we can say the time interval. Therefore, the SI unit of impulse is Newton second. Now, impulse force. It is defined as the large force exerted in a short interval of time during the collision or explosion. We all know that whenever a collision or explosion occurs, in that case, that will be a very short phenomena, or very huge amount of forces are acting on the body, and that too for a very short time interval. Therefore, those forces which are producing a large impact within a short interval of time, that those are called as an impulse forces. When two body collides for a short interval of time at a point of contact, action and reaction will exert an impulsive forces. For example, a batsman hits the ball in cricket or baseball, or a force exerted by the hammer on a nail. This we can see like here, whenever a ball is thrown, then in that case, and when it hits the bat, and then the batsman again hits the ball back. So whenever here this bat and ball are comes in contact with each other, those are in contact with each other for very short interval of time, but within that short interval of time, amount of forces generated or applied by this bat on this ball, those forces are called as an impulse forces. Similarly, whenever we are fixing a nail in a wall or somewhere else, then a force exerted by the hammer on the nail, that is also an example of impulse force. Next is impulse torque. It is defined as the large torque exerted in a short interval of time during the collision or explosion. Similar to impulse force, whenever we are considering a large torque, or we can say the twisting force is applied for a very short interval of time, that is or during the collision or explosion, that we called it as a impulse torque. Next phenomena is momentum, which is denoted by a symbol capital M. It is the amount of motion possessed by the body which depends upon the mass velocity of the body. It is the measure of motion of a moving body expressed as mass or momentum is equals to mass into velocity, or which is further equal to m into v. Therefore, the unit of momentum is kg meter per second or Newton second. Similar to the impulse, whenever a amount of motion possessed by the body, and that too which is depending on the mass and velocity of the body, that we called it as a momentum. Whenever a motion of forces are applied, or a body is moving with a velocity which is depending on their mass, that motion is called as a momentum of the body, or the amount of motion possessed by the body is the measure of momentum. Now, impulse momentum equation, or which is also called as the relation between the impulse and the momentum. Now, therefore it is called as a principle of impulse and momentum. Now, according to Newton's second law, we know that the summation of all the external forces acting on a body is equal to mass into acceleration, or we can say is equal to the inertia force for equilibrium. Now further we know that acceleration a is equals to rate of change of velocity with respect to time. So replacing a as dv by dt in the equation, finally transferring the term dt to the left hand side, and then integrating both the equations within the limits that when the time is t1 the velocity is v1 and when the time is t2 the velocity is v2. So integrating the equation within the upper and lower limit, finally we get summation of f as a common time t, substituting upper limit lower limit value t2 minus t1, that is upper limit minus lower limit, is equals to, again m will be taken as a common, integration of dv is v and substituting the value v2 minus m into v1, or you can say m in bracket v2 minus v1. Then here m into v is nothing but the momentum, that is it is a product of mass and velocity, as we have seen in the earlier slide that momentum is equals to mass into velocity. So mv2 means nothing but the final momentum and mv1 is nothing but the initial momentum, where f is again replaced as summation of f into t2 minus t1 is equals to impulse of force. So force into time is nothing but equals to, or f t2 minus t1 is nothing but the short interval of time multiplied by the applied force. So force into time interval is nothing but the impulse. So replacing this or rewriting this equation as impulse is equals to final momentum minus initial momentum, or impulse is equal to change in momentum, which is also called as an impulse momentum principle. As in the last video we have seen the work energy principle as work done is equals to change in kinetic energy. Similar to that, here we can say impulse is equals to change in momentum, and both these equations are derived based on the Newton's law. So whatever the problem we are solving, all those problems are solved by Newton's second law, as well as it will be solved by work energy and as well as impulse momentum principle. So here finally we can write m into u, that is initial momentum, plus impulse is equals to final momentum. Transferring the initial momentum to left hand side, we will get this equation that m into u initial momentum plus summation of f t2 minus t1, that is nothing but the impulse, is equals to m into v, that is final momentum. Now next point is law of conservation of momentum. Now we know that from the principle of impulse and momentum, I is equals to change in momentum, or we can say impulse is equals to change in momentum. Therefore I is equals to delta v, change in velocity. Mass of the body will remains constant when the forces, that is nothing but the action and reaction at the point of contact exerted during the impact within the short interval of time are same in magnitude but opposite in direction, and the sum of impulse is 0 during the impact. It means that whenever, as we have taken the example of bat and ball, so whenever a ball and a bat whenever a ball will exert or force on bat when the ball is get thrown, at the same time batsman hits the ball and exerts a force on ball. So at this point of contact of ball and bat, there will be a forces applied, that is action and the reaction forces, and these forces are exerted during the very short interval of time, and both are same in magnitude but can say opposite in direction. Then in that case the sum of impulse is equals to 0 during that impact. That is when we are taking summation of forces as, so if the force of action is, let's say, 1 Newton and the same magnitude of force get reacted as 1 Newton, then summation of these two forces is nothing but the 0, and as the summation of forces is 0, it means the force into T2 minus T1, that is nothing but I is equals to also 0. So when this situation is there, then in that case change in momentum is equals to 0, and where we can say initial momentum is equals to the final momentum, or we can say m1 v1 plus m2 v2 is equal to m1 v1 dash plus m2 v2 dash, where m1 and m2 are the mass of object 1 and 2 respectively. v1 and v2 are the velocities of object 1 and 2 before the impact, and v1 dash and v2 dash are the velocity of object 1 and 2 just after the impact. So this we called it as a law of conservation of momentum, where the initial momentum is equals to the final momentum. There should not be any type of loss in momentum, and this situation will exert when the action and reaction forces at the point of contact are remain same in magnitude but opposite in direction. Next, so based on this impulse momentum and impulse momentum principle, let's solve some practical problems to understand the concept more neatly. First example, the body of mass 2 kg having a momentum 20 kg meter per second, find the kinetic energy. Read this as momentum 20, find the kinetic energy. So now we know the mass of the body is 2 kg, the momentum is given 20 kg meter per second. We know momentum is equals to mass into velocity. So substituting the values, 20 equals to 2 into v, so we get the velocity as 10 meter per second, and therefore kinetic energy is equals to half of mv square. Substituting the value of v, we get finally the kinetic energy of the body is equals to 100 Newton meter. Second, a 10 kg body is moving with a constant acceleration 4 meter per second square. If the initial velocity of the body is 2 meter per second, determine the change in momentum in 1 second. Now we know it will be moving with a constant acceleration, so applying the equations of kinematic, v equals to u plus at. So v equals to initial velocity is given 2 meter per second plus acceleration is given 4 meter per second square, and a body is moving or momentum time interval is given 1 second. So substituting all the values, we get finally the final velocity is equals to 6 meter per second, and therefore change in momentum is equals to initial momentum minus the final momentum. So m will be taken as a common, initial velocity, final velocity minus the initial velocity. So 6 minus 2, finally we get change in momentum is equals to 40 Newton second. Next problem, a 35 into 10 raised to 6 kg ocean liner has an initial velocity of 4 km per hour. Neglecting the frictional resistance of the water, determine the time required to bring the liner to rest by using a single tugboat which exerts a constant force of 150 kN. So now here a liner and mass of the liner is given as 35 into 10 raised to 6 kg. Then a force is exerted of 150 kN by using a or through the single tugboat. So 150 into 10 raised to 3 Newton. Then the initial velocity is given as a 4 km per hour, or you can say 1.11 meter per second. Now neglecting the frictional resistance of water, determine the time required to bring the liner to rest. So here by using the principle of impulse and momentum. So initially liner is moving with an impulse of m into v, the initial velocity, plus the summation of f into the change in time, or we can say the time interval, that is nothing but the impulse, is equals to the final momentum. Now here initially the liner is moving with an initial velocity, so it is having a momentum of m into v. Then here the force is applied on that liner by means of a tugboat, and the forces will be 150 kilonewton. Now here the forces will be applied to bring the liner into rest. Therefore the forces will be applied in the direction opposite to the direction of motion, which is equals to force into time interval impulse, so F into T, that is equals to, finally the liner will comes to rest, so final velocity is 0, therefore final momentum is also 0. This negative sign is due to, as the tugboat will exert a force in opposite direction to bring the liner to rest, therefore the sign convention of this impulse is also negative. Now substituting the value 35 into 10 raised to 6 multiplied by velocity 1.11 minus force is 150 into 10 raised to 3 into t, that is equals to 0. So time interval is 259.26 seconds. So when a tugboat is applying a force of 150 kilonewton, it will take 260 seconds, around 260 seconds to the liner to come to rest when it is moving with a velocity of 4 km per hour. Now this problem we can also solve by using the Newton's second law by considering the summation of forces in x direction as a 0 and y direction as a 0. We will also get the velocity of this, or the time interval required to bring the crest at the rest. Next problem. A sailboat weighing 4.5 kilonewton with its occupants is running down wind at 3.6 meter per second when its spinnaker is raised to increase its speed. Determine the net force provided by the spinnaker over 10-second interval that it takes for the boat to reach a speed of 5.4 meter per second. Now here you can see a sailboat is moving. This is the velocity v and this is the direction of motion. Now weight of the sailboat is given 4.5 kilonewton, therefore m is equals to, or weighing mass is given 4.5 into 10 raised to 3 newton. Then next is, it is running down a wind at 3.6 meter per second. So the velocity of the wind is given as a 3.6 meter per second when its spinnaker is raised to increase its speed. Now the spinnaker is increasing its speed up to final speed is 5.4 meter per second. So v1 is 3.6, the initial velocity, and v2 is 5.4 meter per second, the final speed. Determine the net force provided by the spinnaker over the 10-second interval. Means to reach from 3.6 to 5.4, it will take a time interval of 10 seconds. And we have to determine how much will be the net force exerted by the spinnaker so that the speed of the boat will increases from 3.6 to 5.4 meter per second. Now again, by using the principle of impulse and momentum, initial momentum plus impulse is equals to the final momentum. Now here initial momentum m into v1 plus final momentum, as the spinnaker speed is go on increasing, means the velocity or the force is applied in the same direction of the motion, therefore impulse is positive or force is positive, which is equals to final momentum m into v2. Now substituting the value 4.5 into 10 raised to 3 mass multiplied by initial velocity 3.6, then minus f, here it should be plus f into time interval taken is 10 seconds and is equals to 4.5 into 10 raised to 3 into 5.4. Finally we will get 810 Newton force. Means a force of 810 Newton is applied by the spinnaker when it increases the speed of 3.6 to 5.4 meter per second. Let's see one more problem based on the impulse momentum. At an intersection, car B was traveling south and car A was traveling 30 degrees north of east. When they slammed into each other, upon the investigation it is found that After the crash, the two cars got stuck and skidded off at an angle of 10 degrees north of east. Each driver claimed that he was going at the speed limit of 50 km per hour and that he tried to slow down but couldn't avoid the crash because the other driver was going a lot faster. Knowing that the masses of cars A and B were 1500 kg and 1200 kg respectively, determine first which car was going faster and second the speed of the faster of the two cars if the slower car was traveling at a speed limit. Now here two cars were shown, car A and car B. Now it is clearly seen that car B was traveling in the south direction with a velocity of Vb and car A was traveling at 30 degree north of east, means from east it will be making an angle of 30 degree. So this is the velocity of our car A. Now further, when these two cars are moving, they will be get slammed or get collide with each other, and after the collision they will be get stuck finally by making an angle of 10 degree north of east. So here each driver of both the car A and car B, both are claiming that they are going with a speed limit and the another car was going as a faster, means car A driver was saying that he is going with the speed limit and car B is faster. Similarly, car B's driver is saying that he is going with the speed limit and car A is going with the faster, or car A is going with the faster. Now here by knowing the mass of the car A and B 1500 and 1200, we have to determine which car is going faster, and secondly if the whatever the car going faster, then what is the speed of that car if the another car is going with the speed limit, means whichever car we get faster in final answer, whether if we get car A, we have to determine the speed of car A considering speed of car B as a speed limit 50 km per hour. Now to solve this, again we can use an impulse momentum principle, that initial momentum plus impulse is equals to the final momentum. So here you can see car A is moving with an incline 30 degree, car B is moving with the south, then after the collision both will be get skid off by making an angle of 10 degree. So MA plus MB is equals to both will be get moving with the same velocity. So now applying the conditions of impulse momentum principle here along x and along y direction, because both the cars, one car is moving in y and one car is moving in x. So considering that, first of all summation of or determination of m into v, summation of m into v along x direction is MAVA cos of 30 car B is 0 is equal to MA plus MB V cos of 10. This is the first equation number 1 along the x direction. Then again applying the impulse momentum equation along y direction. So first car MAVA sin of 30 minus MBVB in downward direction, so minus is equals to MA plus MB V sin of 10, equation number 2. Now solving this equation 1 and equation number 2, we get VA is equals to 2.3 times of VB, and therefore it is said that car A is moving 2.3 times of VB, so car A is moving as a faster than the car B, and therefore assuming the car B going with a speed limit as 50 km per hour, velocity of car A is 2.3 times of that is 115 km per hour. So in this way we can solve problems when two bodies are get impacted on each other for a short interval of time, or whenever a forces will be exerted when two bodies are get collide for a short interval of time by using this impulse and momentum principle. So you can practice more number of problems based on this impulse momentum principle from the book. Now in the next lecture we see the next or the last topic, that is nothing but the impact and different type of impact bodies. Till that, thank you.